We are live. Hello, everybody. It's an awesome new episode of By the Numbers. I've got an amazing special guest, Lisa almost got it. Lisa DiGeso. I did it so great a second ago.
You totally did.
I'm gonna introduce you guys to her in a second. Thanks again for hanging out. Make sure as we're watching that you're asking questions. If you like this episode, share it with your friends. I'm really continued to be inspired by the support you guys are offering each other in this awesome private group where we can build marketing that works together. And I think it's kind of lonely working on marketing, just like trusting that things are going to work and eventually pan out. That's why I made this group so that we can share what we're trying and we can support each other when it gets lonely and scary. All right. Without further ado, I want to introduce you to my friend, Lisa DiGeso. She is mostly a newborn photographer, but has kind of a soft spot for me. I love working with other great educators, and she has dedicated a huge chunk of her life and time now to not only running her studio, but to running the Milky Way. And I've worked with a lot of people who do training for photographers. Lisa and her team are bar none like super committed. Like there's a lot of different ways to do training to teach people, and they go like, if you want to help and be like part of their system and help teach with them, they go through this amazing process to make sure that not only does the training sell well, but like you actually learn from the stuff they're teaching. So I knew I had to have Lisa on the show. Every time we talk, we have all of these fun things we just kind of snowball off, and today's going to be one of them. I'll stop rambling. Lisa, welcome to the show. Thank you so
Nate,
much.
thank you so much for having me. I had you on my show a couple months ago, and I knew that we were going to have so much fun chatting. So I'm thrilled that you've invited me on your show too.
So after I butchered your intro, let's have you go through it one more time. So let's see. I'm gonna jump right in. I forgot to do this until later. I get too excited. So I'm gonna. Today we are gonna be talking about. I think the theme is you don't necessarily need an assistant. What you need is good software or good systems in your business. We're gonna walk through some of each of our favorite tools we're using, and Lisa's also going to share the story of how she actually hired an assistant and had to let them go because the software she implemented was doing the job for her better. I'm excited to hear more about the story, so make sure you stick around. And here is our intro song, and we're going to get right into it. Easton is saying hello. Thanks for joining us, guys, if you're live. So the first question we're going to go through rapid fire. Number one, how long have you been in business, Lisa? And there's a lot of different ways. You've had a lot of different businesses. So let's hear some of the different layers there.
Okay, so how long have I been in business? Well, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 20. I have had so many different businesses and so many failures. But my journey into photography was about 9 years ago.
Okay.
And so I started Milk and Honey. This June, it will be 9 years.
Wow. Congratulations. That's
Thank
huge.
you. Thank you.
So 9 years running and you primarily focus on newborns, but also do family photography, right?
I do. I started actually with newborn photography and not even realizing that niching down was like the way to go. I niched down because I was terrified of children and terrified of families. So I started out just with a super niche of just photographing newborns. And then as my little newborns grew and as my child grew, I got comfortable with families and sort of broadened that into what I was able to offer.
That's awesome. I love hearing good stories about the value of a niche and getting down and specific. And the reality is that even though you do niche down, you still get on the back end, you still get tons of other business that you can say yes or no to as you've built that relationship with your existing customers.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so was there any big milestones over the last 9 years? I'm going to come back to this when we start talking about, I think, your average number of bookings. So hold that for a second.
Okay.
How long have you been running the Milky Way?
Well, this April actually, oh my gosh, I can't remember. Erin's gonna kill me. I can't remember if it's 6 or 7 years, but yeah, we've been helping and empowering, inspiring, and educating photographers for 6 or 7 years. But we've had, I think, close to 15 to 20,000 students over the course of those years, and I have such a mama bear pride just watching our students grow, helping them create the business, the art, and lives of their dreams has been such a passion for me. So yeah, I'd see there's 6 or 7 years, Nate. I don't remember.
That's so cool.
It's been so awesome.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's huge. I love, as a guest teacher in one of your launches, it's so fun to see the lights come on for some of your students, and that seeing them implement so many of the things they're learning into and making such a difference in not only their business but in their lives also.
Yes.
That's huge. So let's go into my big question number 2.
Sure.
Is how many what I love is, as an educator, you're still running a studio.
Yeah.
And it's forced you, I think what I've learned is kind of like what I started Sticky right as we had our second kid, and it kind of forced me to grow up and to be a lot more efficient with my time.
Yep.
And so I think a lot of the lessons we're going to learn today from you come from a place of kind of necessity, like efficiency by necessity. That's fair to say. Okay, so how many sessions did you shoot last year?
I shot 100 sessions last year.
And like right on, I love it. Just boom,
Yeah.
because I have 100 spots, so I shot 100.
Yeah, I do approximately 8 sessions a month, but I do holiday mini sessions, and that's just something I will always do. They are crazy, they're whimsical, and they're goofy. They're so campy, and my clients love them. There's a wait list to get in with them. So that is like usually in October, I book usually about 40 of them. And so that is a bulk of my business for the year.
Right, leading into the holidays is the main thing, people getting ready for like holiday cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many days of like jam-packed shooting days do you have for that busy season?
Usually I structure it over a 2.5 week period.
Yep.
And I shoot 7 or 8 sessions a day, spaced an hour apart. And I put incredible pressure on myself to create a unique look and experience for every single one of my clients, which is insane.
Yeah.
Because I'm changing the sets and everything and the ideas for each one. So by the time that I'm done, I'm exhausted. But it's but it feeds my soul too. So it's like this thing, my husband's like, oh my gosh, holiday mini sessions again. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I love this. So you have to deal with this.
Good for you. That's so cool. I think that by chance, have you seen the new Beyonce Netflix special?
No, it's on my list though. I was actually going to watch it. I was going to watch it last night, but you know what I watched instead was I watched The Creative Brain and then did a talk on it. And then I watched it again last night because I was like, there's just so many more nuggets I felt like I could get.
Oh, I saw that you did that, and that's on my list. So there's two things for the listeners. It's the new Beyonce, if you haven't yet, and it's called The Creative Brain or Mind?
Creative Brain, yes.
So cool. I'll have more follow-up questions about that. So let's see. My point about watching Beyonce's special is I love the behind-the-scenes stuff. How hard she worked, herself, her team, everything to get to the point to where the show was where it was at. I think so often we see success, we see other photographers here, and we don't see all of the hard work that goes into it. And I think it's we also apply pressure. Some of us came from non-creative, from like corporate or some other type of work, and we try to get our photography business to fit into like this oblong shape, into like a square orderly peg, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's huge peaks and valleys based on the market, based on the season, based on your interests, and it requires a ton of behind the scenes prep for you to be like totally on for those few weeks. And then you get to chill and like there's all of these trade-offs afterwards. So cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't often hear about sacrifices. No one really
Right?
talks about the hard times or the pain points. And
Mm-hmm.
as any successful entrepreneur knows, the way through success is lessons through your failures.
Mm-hmm.
And like my biggest lessons have been my oopsies. Like
Mm-hmm.
the email that didn't go to a client, or my address not correct in Google. Like these little things that glitch out will teach you so much more. And we look at shaming ourselves for making mistakes, or we feel bad, if technology fails or something goes wrong. It happens. We're
Yeah.
all human, and we have to just stop being so darn hard on ourselves. Do your best, but forgive yourself when things mess up too. And realize that, sacrifices for success need to happen. And that's okay. It's part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so fun. Okay, so if we weren't running through the quick numbers, you've been doing it for about 9 years.
Yep.
Average session was 100, or sorry, no, you did 100 sessions last year. How has that evolved over the last 9 years?
I used to shoot a lot more. And
Yeah.
I used to shoot about 20 sessions a month.
Yep.
But when you look at how much editing, booking, cleaning, everything that you need to do for these sessions, when I crunched the numbers of the time that I was needing to do everything, plus we had a growing company with Milky Way, it was not fitting into my life. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I like to live a life as well. And so, the saying is all work makes Jack a dull boy. Well, all work makes Lisa a really sad, miserable person. And so being able to just say, hey, this is what I have available. This is what works in the container of my life right now, and honoring that for myself and not overstepping, because one yes to someone else means one no to yourself and one no to your family. And so just really being so hyper aware of what the sacrifices are for those yeses.
Whew. Really wise words indeed. Absolutely. And it never stops. It's just like
No.
as soon as you hit like a new level, we get excited as creatives to have people saying yes to us because we've
Yes.
been working so hard to get there.
Yeah.
It's a really thing we definitely have to be careful with
Yeah.
the trade-off that comes with it.
Yeah.
So one more thing to kind of close out the numbers questions. What is your average sale per client? And I think there's some cool things you guys are going to learn from Lisa's approach to this as well.
All right. Well, my average sale is actually $500. And I know with my skill set, my level of quality of service, everything, I could be charging a lot more. I currently am the highest photographer in my genre in my city. But how I feel about it, I have crunched my numbers. This feels like a fair exchange for my clients and for me. So this is the area where I'm comfortable of what it feels fair. It doesn't feel like, it just feels good. It feels good. And that's how I want to run my business. I know I could give myself a raise here and there. I might take a few less clients, but I like what I'm doing. And if it works, why do I need to change it?
I love it. So cool. And it helps you run a more streamlined business.
Yes.
What I love talking about is business models. As I've become an entrepreneur, sometimes I think that word is so cheesy, but I think that both as having a photography studio, running Sticky, and then helping others with their businesses is just really understanding business models and how all of them have their trade-offs, and there is no right or wrong. We waste so much time in this industry, especially on Facebook. It just bums me out of how many people are seeking for like the right way. Guys, there is no right way. There's what works for you. And you take your business model you're choosing and you optimize for the inherent strengths of that model. So let's go straight at the $500 price point.
Yeah.
In other industries, when you have a lower price point, it lets you use more automation, and they call it like lower touch, right? You can have a lower touch process, whereas if somebody's going to go buy a several $100,000 home, that requires a high touch sales
exactly.
process, right? Same if you're going to be selling. If you're shooting for a client average of $2 to $3 to $5 to $10,000, awesome.
Yeah.
It's not right or wrong. There's no judgment. But
Mm-mm.
based on the data, based on the science of business, you are going to have a higher touch sales process.
Absolutely.
That's just what it is, right? So walk us through how you kind of realize that yourself, and then we can start digging into the automation piece, which I love so much.
Well, for me, I think it starts with time availability. And when I looked at different business models, there are so many. I've dabbled in choices of doing in-person sales, of doing online sales, after sales. Some of my clients, I do have the ability for them to order their prints and everything from the galleries that I send them, and for additional canvases as well. It's not something I push. It's just something that I subtly mention for maybe some extra cash on the back end. What I discovered was that I was limited to the amount of time that I could invest per client, and also the amount of time that I wanted to invest per client. I love the time that I spend with my clients in their sessions. That's the feel good time. This is our time to bond. Beyond that, I didn't feel like it really added any value to anything that I wanted to be doing.
Right.
For having a pre-session consultation or a post-session, pick up your box or your canvases or an in-person sales meeting. I just didn't really feel like that felt how I wanted to be running my business. And so when I looked at that and honored, so if I were to run the perfect business that feels aligned with my values and my time, this is what works for me. And then stumbling into, I started using canned responses. That was my first little segue into automation, was the Gmail canned responses. I was finding I was typing things over and over. There was questions, confirmation, all that kind of stuff that was happening over and over. So I started just with the Gmail canned responses. About, 6 to 8 months ago, I was approached by IrisWorks to try their software. I'd been playing with like 18 different ones, trying to figure out the right one, throwing my hands in the air because I got overwhelmed at every single one. So I absolutely know if you're out there and you get like super stressed out when you look at them, don't download every single one all at once because it will blow your mind. Pick one. I love IrisWorks because it sort of works with how my brain works. And just being able to load everything and then giving it a 6-month opportunity to work.
It's kind of like hiring an employee, right? You have a 6-month trial period.
Yes, exactly. And so once I was able to create workflows that I had workflows that I had been doing for years, but they were not automated. And I thought to myself, how can I automate these? How can I make from the initial lead to what they get sent for that inquiry right away to the follow-up? How can I automate this entire process? And all I have to do is just go and make sure that everything is firing. And if there's additional questions, going in and answering those.
When you first gave it that first trial, there's a couple different processes and work that you were already doing in your business. That's the first thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times some newer photographers overwhelm themselves where they don't already have a process.
Yeah.
And then so they're looking to the software to do two things: to bring the process and the automation of that process. Those are two different things. The other thing I see a lot of people stumble on is they have their own process they love, but the software does not think that way. It was not designed by humans that thought the way you thought.
Yeah.
And then that's another way people get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
What I recommend is people try a new software instead of trying to do all or nothing.
Yeah.
Just pick one little thing in your business that you do a lot, because that's the best thing to give. Best processes to give software are things that are repetitive, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do a lot of? Okay, cool. Now try that one process. Did you do just the kind of the lead to booking, or was it the booking after? What were you having automated?
My first tiptoe was actually using the Acuity scheduling software.
Yeah.
And what I had set up was I was feeling a little frustrated because I was having that back and forth, trying to pick a date with a client and then wiggling my schedule around to suit their needs. And I was just really feeling like I'm constantly emailing, and there has to be a simpler, easier way to automate this. And then I discovered Acuity, which is an online booking software. And what
Yep.
I was able to do is create calendars. So each calendar has like certain points of availability that I set up for the entire year. So what I can do is I have the link for that calendar that now is in my automated response for the lead inquiry
Yep.
that is sent with that link to that one calendar instead of all my calendars. So
Yep.
they don't see all my availability. They see what is available for that one particular section or category that they would be wanting to book for. And that has just made things so much easier because then they're like, well, you only have 3 spots. Is that true? And I say, yes, that is true. Those are the 3 spots I have
Yeah.
available for the month.
Yeah.
Um, that's my
Yeah.
availability.
I love it.
So,
Yep. That's what it
yeah.
is. So cool. I could go on and on about online scheduling tools. When I first started using Calendly, there's a bunch on the market, and each
Yes.
one of them, again, like any software now, we've got choices. And the good news is we have choices, and it means they're all going to be getting better. The bad news is it can be a little overwhelming,
Yes.
and I think we're very close in this age now where it really we've got to stop hiding
Yeah.
from the real vulnerable, like the things that'll really help our business, like leaving getting out from behind the computer, going to take another business owner out for coffee in our neighborhood, going to talk to potential clients, like going to just getting out and being vulnerable
Make
is
friends with
this.
your local photographers. Like, make
Yes.
friends. It's not supposed to
Yes.
be competitive. We can all win. We can
We
all
so
win,
can. Yes,
right? Yeah.
totally. So it's getting out, doing the things that we're avoiding, where I see so many photographers hiding
Yes.
between, oh, I'm going to compare all of these different website hosting tools. I'm going to compare all of these studio management tools. Like that's like a full-time job to like compare these pieces of software that were built by teams of people. Like how do you expect to be able to tell the difference and figure out
Yeah.
what the difference is, how the differences most likely are not going to be worth the time
No.
you spent, right? So
Yeah.
okay, so that's my rant
And
about pick
it is
one
gonna,
and you,
yeah, it is gonna feel uncomfortable. It is
yes.
gonna suck when you are learning anything. It sucks. It sucks. It hurts your head. It makes you want to cry and throw everything away and walk away from it. Come back. It happens. It's all
Yep.
part
Just
of
like
learning
just like hiring
anything.
somebody. Hiring
Yes.
somebody is so painful and awkward because they don't do it the way you want it done.
No.
But guess what? They do if they do it 80% as well, that's
Yes.
fantastic because
Yes.
it's freeing up your time.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so fun. Okay. So let me do one more rant on scheduling, and then we can dig more into the Iris Work stuff too. So scheduling, I think I saw so many photographers kind of skip over. When I started using Calendly years ago, I at first thought I was being rude because in a way, what you're saying is, I'd love to meet with you. If you just like, hey, you're gonna meet somebody for lunch. Hey, when are you free? You just send them your link. Hey, here, pick a time. Here's my calendar, totally current. Pick a time that works for you. Logistically, I was like, I'm giving them a job. I'm like giving somebody else a job to be my assistant, kind of. This is and I was a little nervous about it, but guess what? Time and time again, people would reply back going, that was so awesome. Oh my gosh, it's done. No more emails. Instead of like 8 emails back and forth of, oh, sorry, that spot's
Right?
gone now. Oh, I've got to cancel. Oh, I've got to like, no, it's
Yes.
done. People are grateful for this
Yeah.
experience.
They don't like the back and forth either.
I love it.
Nobody
Just show me,
does.
just let me see your availability, make a choice, and I'm
Yeah.
done. And so the other point I think that people got nervous about is a lot of photographers, like you've built a system where you don't necessarily need to have a pre-consult on the phone, or especially during the mini sessions, that's more high volume. So it's just like read my stuff. If I'm for you, perfect. If not, I'm not, right? For other photographers, I think it's also just as valuable to use where you can have a different calendar page. All of them do this. You have different pages with different types of calendars, right? And then with different rules and different availability. So you can have one that is a 15-minute phone call scheduling link. You can have one that is a newborn 1 hour session. You could have another one that's a 2 hour family session, and they don't see these different links, right? Super powerful.
Yep.
I love
Because
it.
then they'll want to start. Then they'll start digging around. They're like, "Oh, but I want this one over here," and I'm like, "No, but that's not when I shoot this category."
Yeah.
Right.
So
like
cool.
for example, I do cake smashes, and I only can get cakes on a certain day, and I also don't want to be driving to and from the cake store multiple times that month. The cake smashes all happen on one day. Even if it's booking 3 for that one day, I go to the bakery once. Batch work.
Batch process. I love it.
Yeah.
Because just going to get a cake, it seems so simple. One of my favorite quotes is, the key to success is doing your future self a favor.
Yep.
And when we are, as creatives, we're so eager to get a booking that we will say yes without realizing how many things we're saying yes to. Like, oh, sure, yeah, I can do that next, because like it's a month out. I'll figure it out. Oh, I'm gonna have to take an extra trip to blah, 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 and do this, that, and that. Then it's tomorrow, and you're going, why did I say yes to doing all of these things? 4 separate trips to the bake. That's 4 hours that you've thrown away. That you just, in one like phone call, you're like, yeah, sure, I can do it this way. Poof, you've just robbed 4 hours from your future self, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. So good. I hope this is helpful, guys. If you have any specific questions for Lisa and you're hanging out live, let us know. I can put them on screen. Let's see. Let's dig into so you first started there, and you were just using some like autoresponders. You're using canned replies, and then moving into Iris Works.
Yep.
What was the moment where you were like, okay, this was worth all of the hard work and feeling crazy?
When I would get, so the way that I've set it up, when Iris Works was able to have a different response based on the type of lead.
Yeah.
So I could hook it to each calendar. I was not personally responding to every lead that came through on my website. My system was working for me. It was amazing. It was amazing. Because honestly, I don't sit on my email all day long, waiting for inquiries to come in so I can respond to them immediately. I honestly would take 2 to 3 days to get back to people. And that was not the level of service I wanted to be doing.
Right.
But it was what I was capable of doing at that time. And by automating it, because clients, they're excited when they send that inquiry, and then they hear back from me immediately, and they can book within 5 minutes. They are so excited.
That's so huge.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm going to keep balancing, I think, some of my ideas for everybody who's listening, for both if you have like low touch, where it can be like straight from inquiry to your booking, or if it's from inquiry to consult, to 15-minute call. A lot of these lessons still apply. Yeah. And I think that is what we keep talking about, is there is no one right way. We tune out when soon as something doesn't fit our like narrow view of how we want to run things, and we sometimes miss out on opportunities to improve our business and learn from things, other ways people are doing stuff. I love it.
Absolutely. And truly, Nate, like, I love that you touch on this. There really is no one way to run a business. And like any business, really. And, we hear so many times that we're doing things wrong.
Yeah. And
if the numbers are working for you, and if it feels aligned and correct with how you want to live your life, own it. Own your truth and the truth of your business.
So I want to have you share a couple more, or I think we're talking about video, and then we can wrap up. I'll share a couple ways I use video, but I want to hear yours first. So you've been just dabbling a little bit in. It's
something that I've been doing recently. I've only done it maybe 2 or 3 times, to be completely honest, but I think it has a really powerful effect. Especially because, people are hiring you, and they're hiring your personality. And the way that I do things, it's very automated. So they don't really have that opportunity to get to know me before the booking. So what
Right.
I've been trying to do in part of the process is either after they've completely booked the booking, I've done this twice, is I just shot them a little note done with my phone, just saying, hey, Sandra, I'm so excited about your newborn session. I cannot wait to meet you. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a note or text me, and I'm happy to answer anything that you have before our session together. I'm just so excited to meet you. Something
Right.
like that. Or I've also done two where they didn't book right away, and I just sent them a little note that said, hey, I can't even remember her name right now. Sorry. We'll say, hey, Sally,
Yep.
I saw that your inquiry came through. I just wanted to ensure that you received a response from me for your inquiry, because sometimes they go to spam. If you have any questions that I can answer for you to help you book your session, please do let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And just
Yeah.
something just simple like that, right? And
And you were just doing it
yeah,
manually, attaching the video file to an
yep,
email. Yep. I love
yep,
it.
yeah,
I think you just start. It's so great to start simple, to
yeah.
experiment with a process, and then go from there. I've got a course I'll link to. I think I've done it live in this group. So if you guys scroll through some of the videos, or I'll link to it. One of my latest trainings, I go super nerd deep on this like one thing of like, how do you respond automatically to pricing inquiries, with a very simplified version of your pricing with a little welcome video, and how to make the video and what tools to use. I like using Loom.
Loom.
Lisa, I'll pass.
Oh,
Like,
Loom.
it has saved me so much time. Anytime you want to delegate something to your team, to a customer, and you want to answer a question, and it's sharing something that's on a screen,
Yeah.
so great. But I want to say, since I've launched that course, a new a new benefit has kind of surfaced for me, and for some of the people taking the course, that I want to share with you, because I think you'll appreciate this idea of protecting our, for lack of a better word, like our creative energy, our momentum, our confidence. As creatives, we are more vulnerable to depression, to burnout, to all of these things, because when we go to work, we are more exposed, right? When somebody goes to work and I'm not like judging anybody who goes to a quote unquote other job,
Yeah.
but you're able just to bring like just a part of yourself, and you can get your job done great, and you're awesome at that job. But to be a creative, to be a photographer, it's like your art. That's the first vulnerability, and there's a whole lot of other things that come with it. And so, one of the things I realized that when I was responding manually to inquiries, I felt this huge sense of urgency. Like, I would just, oh my God, I would drop literally everything in the
Yes.
middle of dinner to go email or call.
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't hear back, that I would feel like doubly
Yeah.
like
Re-
depleted,
rejection. You
right?
feel rejected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I think when we use automation to do that first pricing inquiry, where it's a recorded video of like, hey, I'm on, like, thanks so much for checking me out. This is what I do. Boom, boom, boom. Let me know if you have questions.
Yeah.
And where you don't have to hear, why can't I get the digitals? Why are you 8x10 so much? You're still going to get some of that,
Yeah.
but your automations can kind of insulate you from having to interrupt your whole day. That's the other big thing we need to protect as creatives, is our uninterrupted time. By
Yes.
having like it's like a ticking time bomb. Like, just at any given moment, if you get an inquiry, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're like jolted
Yeah.
out of your day, right? That can hugely zap your
Mhm.
creative kind of endurance. So how does that impacted your creative endurance by delegating this, and by also using software to insulate yourself?
Well, step number one is that for a couple years ago, I turned off my Facebook Messenger for my business page,
Mm,
and I can no longer have a session booked that way. There were
mhm.
too many ways to reach me. And I felt like I was flitting, checking everything all day long and getting nothing accomplished. Second thing I did was I turned off all my notifications on my phone, on my all my computers. I go and check. I've got 10 minutes in the morning when I get to the studio that I check and I respond to emails, and then I do not check until the following day. Period. And it's painful to train yourself to do this because you want to go get that little dopamine, serotonin fix from like, ping, I'm important. Someone sees me, right? Well, use your time. When you have such limited time, you have to use it wisely. And being able to take out those things that were like putting me in a bad mood, that like I don't even know how. Like I remember my son when he was about 4, and he was saying to me, "Mommy, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes, 2 more minutes," because that's what I was always saying to him, and that killed me. Like I don't want to spend my life answering inquiries and emails when I should be spending time with him. Like protect your time, and the only way that you can do that is by creating limits and boundaries for yourself that you will follow.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. Somebody just said, I'm going to see if I can post add to broadcast.
Yeah, Anthony!
OMG, I am so now turning off my business message service. That's genius. I love it.
I only give them my cell phone number when, like, in like the 8 days before their baby's going to be born. They cannot text me. They cannot call me at home. My phone number is listed nowhere. I do not get any phone calls. The only way that you can reach me is via email, period.
And I think when you have autoresponders set up, so if you come on your scheduled time to see what's new today, when you decide when you go to your computer, instead of your computer nagging you. Like I think, if we fast forward the clock 5 years, I think there's going to be a total pendulum shift to like software cannot bother us. Like I don't want a ding, a buzz, a pop-up. I don't want any of that until I come to you to tell you I want to give you attention. And only in emergencies do I want this, right? I think there's this epidemic of robocalls. Have you been getting robocalls at all on your phone?
No, because I have everything turned off. I have you cannot reach me. So my husband can text me, but the notifications won't go off.
Yes,
it's only when I choose to look.
So great. I was so annoyed by it. I changed my voicemail to say, hey, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate you reaching out. I apologize, but because of all of the robocalls, I do not listen to voicemails anymore. If you need to reach me, send me a text message. I will not answer any calls unless you are in a contact in my inbox. Thanks so much for understanding. I'll talk to you later.
Because I do that too. I have that on my cell phone for those clients who do get my number. It says, do not leave a message. I'm not going to respond to it. Text me instead.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that's it.
So great. I love it. These are such great tips. And inside of iOS, I just learned this like 2 days ago because I had like 4 robocalls before noon. I was like, this is just getting out of hand. I've got all of the apps to stop them. None of them, it doesn't work. So the one thing that is working is you can put your phone into do not disturb like permanently and only allow, my phone will only ring if it comes from a contact, somebody in my premium friends or whatever it is like that. So huge. And you can, as a photographer, we know that you need to respond immediately to inquiries. That's what your automations are for. If you want to learn more, I'll send a link to the video about making a video response on autopilot, setting something up, a new form on your website that'll automatically send that out. This has been amazing. I knew it would be, Lisa. Thank you so much for being an awesome guest. Let's talk for the last second on if people want to learn more from you, you've got a great resource that's for free in the Milky Way.
Yes, head over to themilkyway.ca and you can check out our free yearly planner. Without a plan, without any planning, you don't have a life. And it's so important to us to set our students and our fans up for success. So what we've done for the past 6 or 7 years is we have had a free yearly planner that we give. It's only April, so it's still perfect time to go and download it. Plan your year, because when you have a plan, you have a life.
When you have a plan, you have a life. I love it. I just posted the link below in the comments thread. Go over and grab that. Thank you so much for providing that awesome resource to our listeners. I'm gradually getting better at planning. I can just hear the groundedness, if that's a word, how grounded you are showing up for today's call, talking about your schedule, talking about the way you batch process your life. And it's because you have a plan. You're like, when I was talking to you about how many sessions you did last year and how many you're doing this year, it's like 100. Because that's what it is. That's how much space you've created for it in your life, and that's what's going to fill up. It's so great. Congratulations on all your success, and thank you for everything you're doing to help our industry. It's really awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Nate. And thank you so much for what you do for the industry as well. I know that you've been an amazing mentor and teacher for the Milky Way as well. So just know that we really appreciate you and what you do for the industry too.
That's awesome. I love it. This has been such a blast. If you guys have any other questions for Lisa, go ahead and post them if you're watching the replay. Post them in the show notes below, and I will see you in the next show. Have an awesome rest of your day. Cheers.
Awesome.